as if it was possible, it's about to get even more awesome. Thank you for waiting. I'm going to bring out our guest right away. I'd like to introduce Vera and Amanda doing sign language interpretation on the side of the stage. And then also, if you have a question for Mr. Lee, we have two mic gentlemen, Stefano and Gordon, on either side. So if you just line up, we'll try to get to as many of your questions as you can. So if you just line up with them and think of your questions, that would be great. Let's bring him out. Perhaps one of the most beloved figures in the world of pop culture and genre, the man behind everything from Fantastic Four to Spider-Man to Thor and the Hulk. Please welcome to Fan Expo, Stan Lee!
You got me here, now entertain me.
It's great to see you, Stan. Thank you so much for coming out to Fan Expo. We're going to have some questions from the floor. But first, I just want to ask you, when you got involved in comics at age 17, did you ever have a sense that it would become what it has in terms of the popularity of superheroes? Does it blow you away?
I'm going to show you why I'm such a good guest, because I give clever answers. No.
What motivated you when you first got started? When did you think, I want to create these amazing heroes, these amazing characters?
What motivated me? Greed. I wanted to get paid for them.
Awesome. Well, Fan Expo is about the fans, so let's open it up to questions. We'll start on this side. Hello.
Hi. I was wondering, what was your thought process when you created the Hulk, and how do you feel about how he's changed over the years?
What was your thought process in creating the Hulk, and how do you feel about how he's changed over the years?
My process in creating him, I wanted to get somebody like the monster in Frankenstein. I don't know if you remember the Boris Karloff Frankenstein movie, but it always looked to me like the monster was the good guy. He didn't want to hurt anybody, but those idiots with torches were always chasing him up and down the hills. So I thought it would be fun to get somebody who's kind of like a monster, but he's really good, but misunderstood. So that was the Hulk. And what was the other part of the question?
How do you feel about how he's changed or evolved over the years?
I feel good.
Do you like Mark Ruffalo as the Hulk? As Bruce Banner?
Oh yeah, he's wonderful. He's the best Hulk so far. I don't know if that's is that a compliment? I meet him, I say, hey, you're the best Hulk.
Over on this side, Gordon, if you have somebody. Hello.
Hi. George R. George R. Martin, when he was younger, wrote you letters. Do you remember those letters to you?
The creator of Game of Thrones, George R. Martin, apparently wrote you letters when he was a kid. Oh, it's okay. George, the creator of Game of Thrones, George R. Martin, apparently wrote you letters.
Oh, yeah.
Do you remember that when he was a kid?
I don't remember it, but it was all over the internet lately. So I'd like to meet him and thank him, but I haven't. He doesn't go to comic conventions, does he? I haven't run into him yet, but if any of you run into him, tell him thanks a lot for the great publicity he's getting me.
The letters from fans that you receive over the years, what do they mean to you?
Oh, they meant everything to me. That fan mail was the greatest because it was like they were doing my job for me. They told me what stories they like. They told me the kind of stories they don't like. Made my job easy. All I had to do was write the kind of stories they like. I think it was the easiest thing in the world.
Over on this side, hello.
Hello, how are you?
Very well, thank you, and nice of you to inquire.
Well, thank you very much for all the writing you've done, because it's been a pleasure reading. Now, has there ever been a character that you've created or wanted to create, but never got a chance to actually fulfill?
Any character I wanted to do that never got off the ground? Actually, no. I was the editor, so I could write any characters I wanted. So whatever I wanted, I wrote. So I'd love to make it sound like I'm very frustrated and there are some great ideas I've had that I never was able to do. But there aren't. Everything I thought of, I did. Now I can just relax and go to conventions. Thank you, convention mothers.
Over on this side, hello.
Hi. I was wondering, what is your favorite character that you did not create?
Favorite character, but that you didn't create.
I don't have any favorites I didn't create. No, actually, I like Sherlock Holmes. I don't know if any of you ever heard of Scarlet Pimpernel, but that was the first superhero that I really loved. And I know you really want me to mention a comic character, a comic strip character, don't you? Well, I'll be honest with you. I kind of like Batman. I think he's a good character. And Superman, the only thing that bothered me about Superman was every time he would take off his glasses, people would say, "Superman, where did Clark Kent go?" So they weren't smart.
Do you have a favorite that you've created?
Oh, all of mine are my favorites. I love every one. But probably if I have to mention a favorite, it would be Spider-Man. I'll tell him how enthusiastic your applause was when I mentioned his name.
How did you come up with Spider-Man?
With great difficulty. All right, I'm going to tell you the story about Spider-Man. And you may all take notes if you wish. We had done a couple of other books. I forget which, probably the Fantastic Four, maybe the Hulk, X-Men, I don't know. But at one point, my publisher said to me, "Hey, these things are doing pretty well. Give me another superhero. I want a new one." Well, when he said that, I had to do it, or else I was in trouble because he was paying my salary. So I went home and I tried to think, what other character can I get? It seemed to me there were no superpowers left. With the Fantastic Four, we had the Thing, who was the strongest guy around. We had the Torch, who could fly and burst into flame. We had an invisible girl with a force field. And we had a guy whose body could stretch. I figured, what's left? So I'm sitting around scratching my head. I sometimes scratch my head. And I see a fly on the wall. And that was it. I said, wow, what if we had a superhero who could stick to walls like a fly? So I figured, well, what would I call him? I didn't like the name The Fly. Mosquito Man, Insect Man, and then I thought of Spider-Man. It just sounded dramatic and a little scary. So, okay, I had my name. But now I had to figure out who and what is he. So I thought just for fun, I'd make him a teenager, because there were no teenage heroes that I knew of then. Then I felt I'd give him a lot of personal problems, because again, none of the characters they had around in those days had personal problems. So I went the next morning running into my publisher's office to tell him this great idea I had. And after I finished telling him, he said to me, in words that will live forever, "Stan, that is the worst idea I have ever heard." He said, first of all, you can't call a hero Spider-Man because people hate spiders. He said, you can't make him a teenager. A teenager can only be a sidekick. And you can't give him personal problems. He's a superhero, for crying out loud. They don't have personal problems. So I went back to my office with my tail between my legs. Anyway, we had a book we were going to kill called Amazing Fantasy. Now, when you kill a book, nobody cares what you put in the last issue. So just to get Spider-Man out of my system, I had Steve Ditko do a Spider-Man story. I gave him what? And I put it in Amazing Fantasy, put it on the cover, so at least I had done it. I figured the publisher, Martin, he'd never notice. And we published it. Well, a month later, we would get our sales figures every other month or something like that. When the sales figures came in, Martin came running into my office. He said, Stan, do you remember that character Spider-Man that we both loved so much? He said, let's make a series of it. And that's how Spidey was born.
If only that fly on your wall knew what would have been created. We'll go over on this side.
Hi Stan, my name is Andrew. Thank you so much for everything that you've given us all. My question is about, when I was a kid, I always loved watching Saturday morning cartoons, The Incredible Hulk and Spidey and his friends, and at the end of every episode, you always said, Excelsior. Where did that come from, and can you please say Excelsior?
Where did Excelsior come from, and can you say it?
Excelsior, oh. I mean, say Excelsior! But what happened was, when I was writing the fan mail pages in my little Stan Soapbox column, I would always end with some corny expression I used, like I'd say, face front, or nuff said, or any little thing. And I found that in the competition magazines, they were using my expressions. They were copying them. And I didn't like that. So I said, I'm gonna come up with something. They won't know what it means. They won't know how to spell it. And I noticed the state of New York, I lived in New York, the Great Seal on the state of New York has the word Excelsior on it. And that really means, it's a beautiful thing. It means upward and onward to greater glory. So I started using Excelsior, and I guess I was right. They didn't know what it meant. They didn't know how to spell it. And nobody's bothered with it. So it's mine.
Over on this side, hello.
Hello. Stan, I think if you could be personal with us, just figure speaking, if this was your last night on Earth, what would you say to the fans?
Goodbye. It was nice seeing you.
Yeah.
Over on this side.
I also wanted to say thanks, Stan, for all the stuff that you've given us and all how important you've been to all of our lives. But my question was, besides friends and family, what makes Stan Lee happy? What are you a fan of?
What makes me happy?
Besides your friends and family, what makes you happy? What are you a fan of?
I think coming to conventions like this, because I can't believe there are so many wonderful people who care that much about these stories and the comic books and movies and television and entertainment, and it's just, I love it. I mean, I wish I could go to a convention every day. This makes me very happy. Especially I get in for nothing. It's free for me.
Hello.
Hi, I was wondering if you would ever make a Black Widow movie.
Black Widow movie. Do you ever want to see a Black Widow movie?
We haven't made a Black Widow movie, but she's been in some of our movies, and she'll be featured more prominently as we move along. And the chances are there eventually will be a Black Widow movie, because all of our characters, sooner or later, are going to have their own features. We're already working on Ant-Man and Doctor Strange and the Black Panther and others I'm not allowed to talk about. Maybe even the Inhumans.
Yeah.
Why do you think this current crop of Marvel movies have done so well?
Because they're wonderful. They're fun to watch. The characters are interesting. They're beautifully directed and photographed and acted. And see, I can't tell. I never know what other people like. I can only judge by what I like. And I figure if I like something, I'm not that unique. There must be a lot of other people who have the same taste. And I know I love these movies. I can't wait till they come out. I can't wait to see them. So they must be good.
On this side, hello.
Hi, if you could make a DC character before they did, who would it be and how would you have done it differently?
Which DC character would you have liked to have created and how would you do it different?
You know, it's funny you say that. I don't know why, but years ago, DC Comics asked me if I would write my version of their top characters. And I forget what they printed. It was a series they had.
Yeah.
It was called something like, What If Stan Lee Had Created Superman? What If Stan Lee Had Created Batman? And there was one, and I wrote my own version of Superman, Batman, Wonder Woman, The Flash, the Green Lantern, and a few others that I've forgotten. And the terrible thing about it, the stories I wrote were good, and they were illustrated beautifully, but there's no way that DC can make movies of them, because that would be putting down their own characters the way they are. So those books are just there, they sold well, but they couldn't turn into movies. I feel sorry for DC, because they would have made great movies.
That series is Just Imagine, if you want to check it out. Just Imagine. Yep. Over on this side, hello.
Hello, Mr. Lee. I was wondering, what do you think of how other comic book writers have handled your characters over the years?
What do you think of how other... I heard it. Go.
It's funny, sometimes it comes through loud and clear, and sometimes the microphones don't work well. What do I think about the way other writers have handled my characters over the years? Pretty good. I'll be very honest with you. I keep so busy now with so many other things, I don't really have time to read the comic books anymore. I look at the covers, and very often when I'm at a convention, I'm doing autographing, people will give me a cover to sign, and it'll be a cover I never saw before. Usually, most of them are covers I never saw before because they're new ones. And I never have the time to look at the book because the guy is there, I gotta sign it, and there's somebody else in line, so I gotta give him back the book. And I wish you people would wait and give me a chance to look at the stories. But actually, we have the top writers in the business. And even though I don't really have time to read the stuff anymore, I'm sure they're great. They must be, because the books are selling like there's no tomorrow.
Of the artists you work with over the years, do you have a favorite memory of working with Jack Kirby?
Oh gosh, I have favorite memories of all of them. Jack Kirby was incredible. He was so imaginative. When I mentioned I wanted a villain called Galactus, before I was finished telling him about it, he had drawn the character, and he was great. And Jack had a way of drawing. It was as though the drawing was already on the page, and he was tracing it, because he would just start, do the drawing, go on to the next drawing. He never went over it. He never erased it and changed it. Whatever he put down was sort of perfect, and he just kept going. And then there was John Buscema, who was like the Michelangelo of the comics. This guy could draw figures like nobody else. And there was Gene Colan and John Romita and Steve Dick. I mean, I could talk about them all day. One of the things that made my stories, I think, look better than they were is the fact that they were drawn so beautifully. I was lucky to work with probably the best artists in the business ever, and I loved them all.
Woo! Over on this side. We'll go over there.
You're always pointing at people on that side or that side. How about people in the center? They have nothing to say?
We've got them lined up on the side.
Oh, that's how it works.
Yeah.
They're lined up.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
Yes, sir.
I should have known there's a method to everything. I don't hear anything. Does anybody hear anything?
Being a little shy, Cascada would like to ask you what's the favorite cartoon you've done voice work for?
My Favorite what?
Cartoon that you've done voice for.
Oh, I love them all. You know, I'm not a guy really who has favorites. I tend to like everything I do. And I've done so many voices. Sometimes I go to the studio and I do a voice and I don't even know what I'm doing it for. They just give me the script, they say, read this, you'll be the mayor of I'm the mayor of the town in some Marvel cartoon strip. I swear I don't know what strip that is, but I make a great mayor, let me tell you. And in some others, I'm other characters, and, oh, I just did well, it's not really a cameo, it's more like a real role. I just did a role in Kevin Smith's new movie. If you know Kevin Smith, he's the guy who did Mallrats for me. So when you see this new movie, I can't tell you what it is. My friend Mike there, Max rather, is getting so nervous because I'm not allowed to mention what it is, and he's afraid I'm going to mention it and we'll all be in trouble. It's okay, Max, I won't tell what it was. But I was magnificent in it, of course. So don't miss Kevin Smith's new movie, whatever the hell the name is, I forgot already.
Would you like to see Stan as mayor of Toronto? How cool would that be? We could use you. Over on this side.
Hi, Stan.
Hi.
Hi. It's an honor just to speak to you. You've done so much over the years, and I was wondering if there was anything you'd like us all to remember you for.
You've done so much. I like the part I've done so much over the years, but any of the rest.
What would you most like to be remembered for?
Oh, for the great panel that I did here tonight. I don't know, I really don't think about that. I just go around and do my thing and hope people like it. And if you don't like it, I'll be a very unhappy man. But so far you've made me very happy, so thank all of you.
Back to the other side.
Hi, Stan. Do you have a rant for us today?
Do I have a what? You have a rant?
A rant? Yeah.
A rant.
Oh, a rant.
Yeah.
Oh, that's right, I do those rants, don't I? Yeah. And you know, it's terrible, I have to make them up because I really like everything and I have to pretend there are things I don't like. Yeah, I don't like addressing an audience like this, and sometimes I see an empty seat, and I won't talk unless we have a full house, let me tell you. But this is great, you're all here, so you're lucky, I'll keep talking.
Hello, sir. Hi there. This may kind of be a redundant question because you kind of answered it saying you don't have favorites, but I was wondering what your favorite cameo you've ever done was and why.
You know, I heard every bit. Your favorite cameo that you've done and why? I've loved every cameo I've done. I see them when they come out in the movie and I say, boy, I'm good. I'm not good at favorites because I like everything, but I kind of like the one where I was with 3 girls and Iron Man came by,
Oh, yeah.
Robert Downey Jr., and he said, looking good, Hef, or something like that. He thought I was Hugh Hefner, and I turned around. And I know Hugh Hefner, and I think he was angry that he didn't play that role. And then I like the latest, again, don't worry, Max, I'm not going to tell him what it is. But the latest one I did just a few days ago, what was it? Oh, I remember. I did a very funny one. Was it the Avengers? What was it, Max? Do you remember? What?
He's not going to tell you.
Oh, you're not even going to tell what movie it is? Well, anyway, in some movie last week. It's a great one. So the next movie it opens up, be sure you go to see it, and you'll say, boy, Stan was right. That was terrific. Only that's one rant I could give. I wish I had a memory. I can't remember anything.
Over on this side, hello.
Hi, can we take a selfie?
You didn't hear it either?
No. She asked if she could take a photo. Is that okay, Max? Yeah, okay.
Whatever Max says.
Yeah. I'm gonna come up and take a picture.
See, he pays me. Not much.
Hello.
Not enough.
She's just gonna, yeah, pop over. What's your name?
You want to take a photo of him?
All
right, here we go. I love taking photos with pretty girls. Bring them home and my wife gets so jealous.
Next question, and not to be a buzzkill, but if you could keep it to questions, it would be awesome. Hello.
Hello. My favorite cameo of yours has always been the one at the end of the 1994 Spider-Man cartoon, where Spider-Man visits you in your office and takes you for some real web slinging. You said you always wanted to experience real web slinging. Is there any chance we could see something similar to that in an upcoming live-action Spider-Man film?
Stan is a web slinger?
Spider-Man's back.
Pardon me?
While he's web slinging.
I don't know if I understand the question.
Is there any chance we could...
Would you write that down?
Riding on Spider-Man's back.
Riding on Spider-Man's back?
Yes.
Well, would we ever see you riding on Spider-Man's back in a comic or in a film?
Who riding on?
You.
I think it's unlikely. Unless it was a cartoon. In a cartoon, I can do anything. What is that thing they call darkcore or something, where you jump over things? There's a name?
Parkour.
Parkour. I don't know if you saw, I did a parkour once. It wasn't really me, I'm going to confess. It was trick photography, but boy, was I good.
Over to this side. Hello.
When you made Spider-Man, did you ever think of making his webs come out of his butt?
When you were making Spider-Man, did you ever think of making the web come out of his butt?
You would probably make a better comic book writer than me. It's a wonderful idea, but I never did think of it. Shame on me.
Brilliant.
I've been asked almost every question you can imagine, but I have never been asked that one before.
Well done. Over on this side.
Hey Stan. I was just wondering, what's your experience been with Bruce Lee? Like, have you ever met him, or what influence has he given you, if any?
Bruce Lee?
Yes.
Have you ever met Bruce Lee?
Bruce Lee?
Yeah.
Yes. No, sorry. I met his son. His son came to America and wanted to be in the movies, and he came to see me. And I was going to write a part for him where I'd make him a great martial arts hero. And he said, no, I don't want that. That's what everybody would expect. I want to just be a regular actor like Marlon Brando. I just want a dramatic role. So I said, well, I can do that too, but that's not what people are going to expect of you. So I said, let me think about it. And he went away, and the next thing I knew, he had signed up to do a martial arts movie. And the poor guy, you know, he had that accident and he got killed. He was a hell of a nice guy. He gave me a book that Bruce Lee had done. It wasn't published. I mean, this was the original. It was Bruce Lee's own notes in his own handwriting on the pages. All of his philosophy. And he was more than just an action star. He was a philosopher. He had written. I ought to try to publish that book. I think people would want to read it. He had written all his thoughts about the human condition and everything. Well, that's getting off the subject, but I didn't meet Bruce Lee. I met his son, I liked his son, and Bruce Lee was a great man. Okay.
We just got time for a few more questions, so we'll go over to that side.
I just want to say thank you so much for being here. It's an honor to meet you, to see you in person.
It's an honor to be here.
Oh, well, thank you, yeah. I was wondering, if you yourself could have a superpower, what would you choose?
I've answered that before, and I think it's such a clever answer. You know, I'm so proud of myself for thinking of this. The one most perfect superpower in the world would be luck. Because if you're lucky, you can accomplish anything, and nothing would ever hurt you. A guy shoots at you, the bullet misses, because you're lucky. You want to win the lottery and get $100 million? You win it because you're lucky. The only reason I can't write a superhero with the power of luck, all these guys have to be visual. They have to look interesting in some sort of outfit. I can't think of any reason why a guy who's lucky would wear a costume. So that's oh, I shouldn't have said this, because now some other writer may hear what I've said, and he'll think of a way to give him a costume, and he'll write about my lucky hero, and I'll have lost that whole idea. All of you, forget I said that. Write it from your memory.
I thought you were going to say spider webs coming out of your butt.
I think I will never hear the end of that.
Got time for 2 more, so we'll do one there and then a last one over there.
Hi, Mr. Lee. I was wondering, everyone loves, you know, Superman, Batman, the Fantastic Four and all that. I was wondering, when are people finally going to love mutants? I mean, speaking as a black woman, I know I've been going through all the racism and all that. That's what that's what you're focused on, but when are people going to finally accept mutants and have, you know, people love mutants?
Like the X-Men?
Yeah, like the X-Men.
Yeah.
You may have to summarize that.
Yeah.
When are the X-Men, when are mutants going to get the same love that Spider-Man and Superman and characters like that have gotten?
When the mutants?
Yeah, when will the mutants get that much love from fans?
Well, if the public starts loving the mutants, then we wouldn't have any excuse to do mutant books. They have to be disliked so that you can have the fighting and the philosophy and the psychology involved. But if they're suddenly accepted by the public, then they become like anyone else. And our characters must never become like anyone else.
Last question over on the right.
Am I working? Okay. First off, I wanted to ask, since you were more than 20 minutes late, do we get free pizza?
I wanted to know if he could get pizza because you were a few minutes after. If I could have a pizza.
Okay, also my real question is...
Excuse me, would you tell me what he's saying?
Okay.
If you would buy everyone pizza.
Oh, sure. You're all entitled to a pizza. Somebody get these people a pizza.
All right. My real question, based on some of the Marvel movies you've done cameos in, I'm not going to name names, what was so wrong with Mallrats that it took you until now to do another Kevin Smith cameo?
I don't know. Kevin and I are big friends, and I've been on his, he has a little show where he's in a comic book store. I've been on that. And he's done 1 million interviews with me for his radio site and things. But I think he feels the movies he does, you know, they're not big budget movies. And I think they don't rate a man of my massive talent. Hey, I have another question for you. How come if you saw me, and you must have seen it, in The Big Bang Theory, how come they haven't asked me back? Now, don't just sit there. Get busy with your letters and emails, and you make sure... Oh, and another thing. Obviously, you people have a lot of influence, so I want you to figure out a way to contact the Motion Picture Academy and find out why they don't have an award for the best cameo of the year. Right? All right, I'm counting on you.
Dan, thank you so much for being here.
That's all. I'm just getting started.
That's it, yeah.
That's it?
Anything else you want to say to the fans?
People can only take that much of me, I know. Okay. Hey, listen, you people are wonderful. Thanks a million for having me. It was great.